So now we are going to start with our advanced projects. So the first thing we will do is to create a folder for our advanced projects, and we will right click here, new directory, and we will write advanced, and we will start with C so that it is in order, it is in alphabetic order, and it's easier for us to go around these folders. So the first thing we did was to add our folder, and the second thing we will do is to create our first game. Now the first game that we are going to create is the Squid game, the very popular Netflix series Squid Game. Here we will create two games within this Squid game. The first one will be green light, red light, and the second one will be the cookie cutter. So we will start off with the green light, red light. It will be quite a lot of fun. But before we do that, we will create a menu. So this menu will be amazing. It will be very good looking. So it will create that, what do you call, futuristic and modern design so that it looks like an actual game and it looks like a new game, not something out of the 80s or 90s. Okay, so let's get started. So we will right click and create a new directory. We will call it Squid Game. And within this Squid Game, we will have our files. Now, which files are we talking about? If you remember, in the basics, in the part 2 of our course, we learned that we have to start with scene management. So these are the three files that we normally start with when we are creating a complete game, which has a menu, which has a game, which has an end screen, and all of that good stuff. So we will copy all of these and we are going to paste it in Squid Game. There you go. So if we close that and if we open up Squid Game, now we have three files. The first one is our scene manager. This actually manages all the scenes. Then we have the menu. In the menu, you can have different elements, UI elements, buttons, and introduction and all that. And then in the game, you have the actual game. Now, in our case, we will be having two different games. So what we will do is we will create two different files for the game so that from one user interface, we can open up two different games. So how can we do that? First of all, we are going to start, let's say, with our menu. So that's what we are going to build now. So in our menu, let's start. Where are we? So we are importing our Py game. We are importing the scene manager. We are initializing. We are creating the window. We have the initialization for the clock, and we are getting the events, and then we are applying the logic. So before we go any further, let's just run it and see what we are getting. So this is what we get. My awesome game is the title, and then we have the menu. We press S to go to the game. So if we press S, it goes to the game, and it says press A to go back to the menu. So if we press A, it will go back to the menu. So this is how simple this is. And from here onwards, we are going to take it to the next level. So what is that next level? The first thing we will do, we will add all the required resources to our resources folder. Now, these will be available in the latest version of the project files. So you can download it from there and you can add all these different elements. So let's just copy and paste. So here I'm going to go into the resources and I'm going to paste the folder project Squid Game. So if we press OK, so these are the files that we will get. We have project Squid Game, we have the buttons, we have the cookie cut, eliminated, main menu, background, past, and stuff, and all that we are going to use later on. So we will look at each of these in detail. Now we also need some sounds. So these sounds, we will put it in the sounds. So here in the sounds, we just have click, hover, and timer. Now we will also need, the sound that plays in the game. And then we will also need the shot. So if you lost, it will give us shooting sound. So these are the two files that we will add. This one is GR, green and red lights. 2. 2 means it is, we have speeded it up twice. So it is 2 times fast. And then we have the shot, and this is just a shot sound. So again, all of this is available. If you just download and add it here, it will be easier for you. So here, when we open up our project, we will see that we have all these files. And the first one that we are interested is in the main menu background. So this is the background that we are going to use. And then we will add some buttons on the left-hand side over here. So let's go ahead and import this. So as you know, it's very, very simple to import images in Pygame. All we do is images. We always give some titles so that it's easier to know what you did, because trust me, once you finish and you come back to the code after maybe 2-3 months, 1 year, it will be difficult for you to understand. So it's better just to label a little bit here and there. So this is our comments images, and then we are going to write that we have the image background that is equal to pygame dot image dot load, and we are going to load. So where do we have these files? Now we are starting off within the Squid game folder. So we have to go one time back, and then we have to go the second time back, and then we go to the resources, and then we go to projects, and then we go to main menu background. I know it's a little bit lengthy, but this is what we have. If you are creating an end product, of course you won't do this. You will have a better structure for all these resources. Anyways, so let's get started. We will go back, we will write resources, we'll put a slash, and then that will take us to the projects. So we have project Squid game, and then we have main menu background.png, and we will write .convert just to convert it into the Pygame format so that it is easier for Pygame to handle it. Now it is PNG, but we are just going to write convert because we do not care about the alpha channel. If we did care, we would write convert underscore alpha. Okay, so then once that is done, we can actually blit that. So here we are, where are we blitting? So we are not blitting anything actually here. So what we can do, actually, let's remove all of this, and simply we will remove everything. And this is what we need. We need the update and we need the clock. Other than that, we pretty much don't need anything from our previous code. So here we are applying the logic. So we are going to write here that we have a drawing area. So we will draw background, and we will also draw the buttons. So this is the drawing area. So here we will write window.blitz, and we want to blit image background, and we want to blit it at 00. So that's how simple this is. So if we run this now, we will have our beautiful background with Squid game and this beautiful image. We didn't change the name, so let's just change it here, and we will call it Squid game. So that will look a little bit better. If you run that on the left hand side, you can see it says Squid game. So that looks much better. Okay, so the next step is to add our buttons. So for the buttons, if you remember, we have to add what do you call the file. So here the module, we have to add it. So here we are going to write from b underscore basics. So if you remember, in the basics we did custom classes. Within our custom class we have the button. So we are going to import this. So b underscore basics dot custom classes dot button import button img. So button image. So this button image allows us to create buttons. If we go down, so this is how we create buttons. So we can simply copy that and we can paste it here. That's why we have this function as well here. So the if statement here as well, so that we have an idea of how to run this. If we forget later on how to run this, we have an example here which makes it very easy to use. So that's why we write it in each of our modules. So here we will go and we are going to write here buttons, and within the buttons we are going to add our buttons. There you go. So this is button 1. So let's just be a little bit creative and write it in a different way. So we will write button green light. So we will have 3 buttons. And do we need to change anything? Resources, buttons, and button back. So that's not the case for us. It will go to resources, yes, but then it has to go to the project. So the project, why is it not showing? That's okay. Project dash Squid game, and then we will write buttons, and in the buttons we have one.png. So if you open up, let's just close this. Let's close this. Okay, let's just keep that open. And here in the buttons, you will see 1.png, 2, and 3. So 1 is basically green light. Second is cookie cutter. And the third one is quit. So these are, you can name them as well if you would like to. That's up to you. And here we already have the click and hover, so we don't need to change that. We have the scale. Right now the images are exactly to the right size, so we don't need to scale them. We can remove that. And for the position, I have checked the position earlier, so 200 and 290. So this is how we create our first button. And what we can do is we can go down, and here in the draw area, so if you remember, this is our drawing area. We are going to write that our button green light dot draw, and we want to draw it on our window. That's it. So that's how you draw the button. And if we run this now, there you go. We have our green light button, but the position is a little bit off, I believe. Or is it fine? Let's push it a little bit back. Let's say 180. Maybe a little bit more. 160, let's say. Yeah, now it's a little bit in the center and looks better. Okay, so now if you can hear the sound, let me raise the volume. It already has a sound for hover and a sound for click, and the animation is already there. So that is pretty amazing that with just 2 lines of code, we are able to get all of this functionality. So that's how powerful these custom classes are. Okay, so we are going to copy this part, and we need 2 more. And we are going to paste it one more time. What happened there? Copy that, and we will paste it here. And then we are going to change it to button cookie cutter and button quit. So now we just need to change this. Let's put it at 410 and this one at 530. So equal spacing. And here instead of 1, we will put 2. And here instead of 1, we will put 3. And the click and the hover sound is pretty much the same. And to display them, we will go down. And here we are going to copy all of this, and we will write button cookie cutter dot draw, and we want to draw it on our window. Button quit dot draw, and we want to draw it on our window. So that's the basic idea, and it looks quite simple. And let's run it. There you go. So now we have green light, we have cookie cutter, we have quit. So all of them are working perfectly, and it is pretty amazing. Okay, so the next thing we will do, we are going to give functionality to the buttons. So again, we have written this script from scratch, so we already know how to do this. We just need to check the state, and we need to send the command. So when we were doing these custom classes, we created this public variable called state that we can access from anywhere. So here we will write that if button green light dot state equals to, we will write clicked. If it is clicked, then we are going to do something. Now, if you remember, here is the scene manager, and the scene manager basically opens the scene. So which scene do we want to open? We want to open the game. But again, if you remember, I told you that we will have two different games. So let's just copy it and paste. So we will copy and paste, and instead of game, we will write game cookie cutter. And instead of game over here, we are going to rename it, and we will write game green lights. Okay, so now these are the two names that we have instead of game and cookie cutter, instead of just game. So here we will write open scene game green light. Okay, and the same thing we will copy and paste. If button state of the cookie cutter is clicked, then we will open game cookie cutter. Now if we run this, it will give us an error. So if I click that, nothing happens. It's not really giving an error, but internally we have a problem. What's the problem? The problem is that we changed the name of the file, but we didn't tell the scene manager. We have to inform the scene manager that now we have two games and these are their names. So we will go to the scene manager, and here you can see the error already. So here it is automatically changed from game to green light because we renamed it in PyCharm. That's why it automatically does that. But for the other one, we have to add. So here we will add game cookie cutter. So basically we are importing these two games. So we are importing these two games here. And then we are going to say, if it is menu, open menu. If it is game green light, then open game green light.game. So if you remember, in each game, if you open up any game, it has a function called game. So it is going to run that. So again, in our scene manager, if it's game green light, then game green light.game. Otherwise, it will be game cookie cutter. Now, if you do not understand this part, please go ahead and watch the scene management video. I have explained this from scratch, step by step. So if you have missed that video, make sure you go through that video because it is very important to understand this concept. Okay, then we have this game cookie cutter, and then we are going to paste here. So now it should run. So if we close all of these, if we go to our menu and we run this, then if we click green light, it will take us to the green light game. If you press A, it will take us back. If you press cookie cutter, it will take us there. Now, we are not sure. So what we can do is we can go to each of these games, and here we can, instead of displaying text game, we can say game green light. And here in the cookie cutter, we can go and we can write game cookie cutter. So this way we know that in which game are we in. So let's run the main menu again. And if we click on the green light, it takes us to the green light game. And press A to go back. We'll press A and it will take us back. Then we have cookie cutter. We click on that and it takes us to the cookie cutter. So it means we are headed in the correct direction. We are all good. Now, the last thing we have to do, we have to add quit. So if we press the quit button, state is clicked, button quit is clicked, then we are going to exit. So how exactly can we do that? We can write pygame.quit. So that's how simple this is. So if we run this and we quit, then it exits the pygame. So that's how simple this is. So to recap, we imported our image button class, and then we created a few buttons. We imported our background image. We overlaid it on our, we overlaid the buttons on our background image, and then we created these button states. We checked these button states, whether they are clicked or not. If they are pressed or clicked, then we change the menu, And if the button state of quit is pressed, then we quit Pygame. So that's how simple this is. And next on, we are going to start creating our green light game.